This is your World War III update. So next Friday, apparently the fate of humanity is going to be lying in the hands of a guy named Boris, who's going to be holding his finger over the nuclear button, waiting for the signal should a hair on Vladimir Putin's head be harmed when he makes a leap of faith and crosses over onto U.S. territory. Oh my, it's a roller coaster. It's geopolitical whiplash, man. Talk about the vicissitudes of a Trump presidency in SHTF in World War III. What a time to be alive. Okay, so here's what I think about all of this. I think that the price of gold is telling us the truth. The price of gold remains elevated near all-time highs, $34.50 closing the day in futures trading, and $3,400 spot price tells me that the barometer for social chaos remains at an all-time high. Despite the rebuffing of the tariffs on Swiss bullion, the White House came out to clarify that, oh yeah, we're probably not going to be tariffing gold in the way that many of you suspected. So the price of gold went down $50. It touched near all-time highs before that. But what that means is that gold is still telling you that the big one approaches, all right? And everything else is also communicating the same thing. I'm going to tell you what this is. This pomp and pageantry that is going to be on display will be very tantalizing to those easy-minded people who are just looking for optics. And that's all this is. This is an optical win for Trump. Putin has to ingratiate himself by coming to Alaska, of all places, a place that wasn't it sold to the United States by Russia for like a few $1 million or something? Anyways, it's a way for them to kick the can down the road till next week. But oh boy, man, that is going to be one of the most tense times for international security, probably in American history, I would have to say. I guess when you think about it, it's the United States probably would prefer it being there than in the UAE because they can't necessarily control all aspects of security with respects to the UAE, but maybe there's a bit more control there. But from Russia's point of view, you're entering the lion's den, so you can bet that those nukes, those nuclear submarines, everything's going to be locked and loaded. Just, you know, consider that we were just days ago talking about nuclear Armageddon, and here we are. Vladimir Putin's coming to the United States. I mean, does that even make sense to anybody? It's all about postponement. Vladimir Putin has said that he will not meet with Donald Trump unless there's essentially an agreement to sign. Unless there's something to sign, there's no reason to meet in person. You've already had phone calls, and since the last phone call, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin and his acolytes have been engaged in nuclear brinkmanship. So whatever was discussed with Witkoff must have been substantial. They must be getting ready to officiate and ratify some kind of deal. Otherwise, we are entering incredibly dangerous times, because once this last diplomatic bridge is burned, that's it. You know, there's nothing after that. So should relations deteriorate after a meeting with Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, after that one last card is played, then it's game over. We're in the dark ages of the fog of war thereafter. So there are rumors that territorial concessions have been agreed to. Now, again, the Kremlin has stated that there were terms that the United States had put forward that they were in agreement with. The question is, will Kiev agree to that? Will the Europeans agree to it? Will the UK agree to it? Some would say they have no choice. I disagree. I think this thing could be sabotaged last minute. And even if it's not the CIA or whoever who tries to assassinate Vladimir Putin, I mean, because just think about it. The decapitation play is still in play. You now will have Vladimir Putin there within striking of your snipers, and you have them surrounded in every other way. Do not be surprised if Day X happens next Friday. I mean, this is, it's a possibility, as crazy as it sounds. So the concessions that they're talking about are Russia will take the Donbass and Crimea, and I guess relinquish control of everything else, although it's not entirely clear with respect to what's going to happen there. I cannot see them conceding control of Kherson and Zaporozhye, because it is the land bridge to Crimea, and were it not for the Kerch Bridge, then Russia would have no access to those territories. Also, Putin would be eaten alive politically if he were to abandon those people to the Ukrainian forces, who will no doubt make a torturous experience for the remaining Russians in those territories unless they're given a pathway out before relinquishing control of Kherson and Zaporozhye. I just can't see it happening, guys. So there must be some more fine print there. There must be a conflict frozen along the Dnieper in the south, and then Russia will make some minor territorial concessions in and around the Sumy region, which will somewhat approximate the concessions Ukraine will have to make in what remains of the Donbass. That's the best thing we can ask for at this point in time. Putin apparently is not asking for NATO concessions, which means that NATO is going to move in immediately thereafter, very likely. Maybe not officially, but de facto anyways. So just remember, though, that the non-aggression pact between the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany was signed just 2 years before Operation Barbarossa, the biggest blitzkrieg surprise attack in human history. Hitler invaded 2 years after signing a pact with the Soviet Union. Okay? So this is why this is so dangerous. It was in 2021 that Biden met with Vladimir Putin, and thereafter, of course, we all know what happened. In the run-up to all of this, and on the same day, in fact, within the same 24-hour span of time, we had another Operation Spiderweb 2.0 attempt alleged by Russian Telegram channels. They claimed that all the threats were neutralized, but there was another attempt by Ukrainian saboteurs behind Russian lines to orchestrate another high-profile attack strategy, and it essentially was thwarted by the Russians. We also have confirmation of a destruction of a radar array in Crimea by the Ukrainians, of course, which effectively could be used for the S-500 system, which is very much a strategic system. And this radar obviously would be strategic as well. There was a time when striking Crimea was thought to be a red line, but striking a potential S-500 Yenisei radar, 98L6 advanced radar, well, that's a cause for concern. Okay? So, yeah, this meeting in Alaska, I can't get over, where's it going to take place? That's what I'm wondering. Along the international date line in international waters? Is it going to be right in between the Diomede Islands there somewhere, where on one side it's 27 hours time difference, and you have a little village of Inuit, I believe, in the American side, and then on the Russian side you have a Russian border guard, probably also named Boris, perhaps with his finger on the nuclear trigger as well. Who knows where it's going to take place, but, anything is possible this day and age. So, while it might be reassuring to some, and I'm happy because I get to spend my weekend with family, and I don't have to worry about Armageddon at least this week, unless all of this is just theater and something the Russians have agreed to postpone Day X for a week, and they're going to strike first this weekend. I'm just happy we have a little bit more time, okay? Because, yeah, it's a good thing. This is a good thing. Even though, think about what it means, right? The vacillation works both ways. So one day the sky is falling, the next day you're being elevated to the heavens, the next day you're being plunged into the deepest, darkest abyss of Hades. And then the day after that, you're exalted to the heavens once again. So what this means with punctuated escalation theory is that once this meeting fails to accomplish anything tangible and meaningful, then the shit's just going to hit the fan on a scale and scope that we've yet to see. So it works both ways, right? Like, okay, it's great that we suddenly have Putin coming to the United States for a meeting just days after Trump was making nuclear threats. But what does that mean if it doesn't work out? You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of other little tidbits of news with respect to Reznik deployments inside Belarus. Poland's Donald Tusk, the prime minister, has stated that he believes the conflict will be frozen. In fact, he's been saying that all week, which tells you that he does have potentially some good intelligence that is credible. Russia has been intercepting Storm Shadow missiles all night. Ukraine continues to lob their drones into Russian territory. At the time of making this video, a massive drone strike is underway. So the war continues to rage. Netanyahu is vowing full Gaza City control. Right now, there is satellite data confirming that the Israelis indeed are amassing forces just outside the Gaza Strip. Epstein had a photo that surfaced of him wearing an IDF sweatshirt on a private jet. Trump signed an executive order to use military force against cartels. I presume that that's geared towards Maduro, who now has the bounty on his head doubled. And of course, I suspect that that has something to do with oil, right? Because Venezuela is sitting on, the world's largest oil reserves, something even bigger than Saudi Arabia. So you know it's about oil. And Trump is saying that he's now authorized the military to take action against cartels, even if it means going into other countries, which of course is an act of war. So that's interesting. But yeah, BRICS doesn't seem to be wavering. Lots of phone calls were made from Vladimir Putin to Xi Jinping and President Modi, or Prime Minister Modi of India as well. So BRICS seems to be unwavering. Brazil seems to be unwavering. So either all of this, this ingratiating behavior on the part of Putin, kowtowing to Donald Trump by coming to a former Russian territory, of all places, to seemingly bend the knee, if this isn't just optics and a stalling tactic, I don't know what it is. Because the price of gold does not reflect this. You know, despite the comments by the White House of walking back the Swiss tariffs on bullion, the price remains elevated near all-time highs. So something strange is definitely afoot. I would not believe it until I see it. Do I think that Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump are going to get together for the photo op? Yeah, I've talked about that since day one. You guys recall, and that's on record on multiple occasions. I said, of course that's going to happen, but unless a deal is inked, then it's bad news. So that is my prognosis right now, unless they sign something, which of course they can't without Zelensky being there. Some people are saying that he may make a cameo appearance at the Alaska summit. Well, unless a deal is struck, then I'm very concerned that that's it. That's the final bridge that's been burned. That's the final card that's been played. That is the Trump card. And once you've played the Trump card, there's not much left to play. Anyways, my friends, enjoy the weekend with friends and family. I will keep you apprised, and check out the Canadian Prepper channel. We got an interview that we're going to be posting this weekend with Joel Salatin, the lunatic farmer, talking all about how to survive off-grid. And he's been helping billionaires prepare for the end of days. Thanks for watching, my friends. Take care.